January 2nd. Stop making excuses. Create your own reality. The following steps will keep you on the right track of building your dream business. The first and the most important step of all would be to start with a clear mind and heart. You might need to forget about all the expectations that you have in mind. Make sure that you remove all those distractions that will make you away from the core of your business plan before you jump in. Once you have cleared the mind and the heart from all the unnecessary distraction, you can go on making a list of all the passions and the strong points building a business based on someday somebody else's interest might be wrongly moved. The business of your dreams should allow us to make the most of the strong points instead of dealing with our weaknesses. The dream business is more like to give us the opportunity to do what we love the most. To make it short, the business of our dream would be the one that allows us to develop our strengths and enjoy our interests. The next step would have to clear the picture of on your mind about how other people might feel once they encounter with your business. This would be an important step that will help you determine who your potential clients are. It will also give you a better insight on how to attract clients to your business. Considering that you have recognized your own strengths and passion, it is about time for you to come up with a list of the business that cater to your those personal aspects. That way, you will have a better picture about the opportunities that will support your strengths and passions. The list has to be very comprehensive and pay more attention to the current marketplace might be very helpful for you. Once you create yourself a very comprehensive list of the business and opportunities, you need to narrow them down in a way that you have a list of businesses that resonate with you the best. Now think about your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats as you analyze the existing choices. That way you might end up having the most advantageous business idea to start your own business. The last step would be to come up with a clear marketing plan. Once you are certain about your most suitable business model, you need to create the action-oriented business plan that will help you determine your most effective marketing strategies. You will never find time for anything. If you time, you must make it. If you want time, you must make it. The difference between a successful person and others is not their strength nor the lack of knowledge, but rather a lack of will. If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, become more, you are a leader. Despite his struggles with opposition in Congress, the sixth president of the US is still knew that a good leader is only as strong as those he works with. Adams managed to pay off much the national debt in his single term in office. Motivating your team to go above and beyond is just as important as being motivated yourself. Small achievements happen every day. Accomplishments will prove to be a journey, not a destination. The two-term president had a long resume when taking office in 1952, including serving a 5-star major general in World War II, leading the county during the turbulent decade in official. That included the end of the Korean War. He took a pragmatic approach to achieving his objectives. If big picture success seemed too lofty of a goal, focus on what you can achieve each day. Remember what is important, tell the truth, work hard, and come to dinner on time. The only president in the US history who has never elected to office, he succeeded the impeached president Richard Nixon. May not have thought his role as a world leader, but he served his short term with honesty. Ford had a reputation as an open and trustworthy everyman, and his words can serve as a reminder that some of the most important things about leadership are also the simplest. Don't compromise your core values. In matters of style, swim with the current. In matters of principle, stand like a rock. The founding father and primary author of the Declaration of Independence knew a thing too about principles. Among his many notable political achievements, it is a bill he wrote in 1786 establishing religious freedom, which was used as a model for the religious language in the Bill of Rights. When it comes to trading the market, it helps to stay current, but when it comes to your company really believes in, stand firm and stay true to your principles. Always move forward. I walk slowly, but I never walk backward. One of the most influential presidents in the US history, Lincoln, inspired the US during a long and difficult period. His progress in issuing the Emancipation Proclamation and ending the Civil War was arduous and hard-won, but he never gave up. Success likely won't come overnight, so keep your goal in sight and keep moving forward, no matter how slowly. Be different, conformity in a jailer of freedom and the enemy of growth. The youngest president in the U.S. history has regarded by many as a visionary, not satisfied with the status quo. Kennedy spearheaded economic programs that launched the U.S. in its longest expansion since World War II and championed equality by calling the civil rights legislation. Think of the entrepreneurs that you find more influential and innovative. Chances are they went against the grain and had a different way of approaching things. Going the safe route is rarely the way to get noticed. Don't give up. If you are walking down the right path and are willing to keep walking, eventually you will make progress. The current put on stuck to his guns in the first term in office in Basel and Mart, affordable correct. Despite facing a lot of opposition, agree with him and non-entrepreneurs can admire his persistence. Once you choose a path for your business, stay committed and you'll make progress slowly but surely. Treat everyone with respect. If you treat people right way, they will treat you right 90% of the time. Far faced many daunting problems when he took office during the Great Depression. With 13 million unemployed and almost every bank closed, he proposed a sweeping New Deal recovery program within the first 100 days in office. As the U.S. slowly recovered, many turned against aspects of his programs, and he responded with a series of reforms, including Social Security and new controls over banks and public utilities. While he won re-election by a large margin, he faced a lot of opposition, and the Supreme Court proved that you can't please all the people all the time. Believe in yourself, believe you can, and you are halfway there. Teddy Roosevelt's favorite proverb, speak softly and carry a big stick, speaks as much in his self-assurance as does in his governing style. The 26th president certainly didn't lack confidence, viewing himself as a steward of the people. He enacted several laws, antitrust suits, ensured the construction of the Panama Canal, championed conversation, and even won a Nobel Prize. Take a page from his book if you want to inspire confidence in others. The first step is believing in yourself. Share the spotlight. It is amazing that you can accomplish if you can. Do not care who gets the credit. Truman faced a myriad of wartime problems, including the development of the atomic bomb, when he assumed the presidency, following Franklin Roosevelt's unexpected death in 1945. Later that year, he witnessed the signing of the Charter of the United States. He and worked throughout his presidency with his leaders of his other countries. Today's business leaders can learn from his spirit and cooperation. The man who will use his skill and constructive imagination to see how much he can give for the others. For $1 instead of how little he can give for $1 is bound to succeed. The difference between try and triumph is just a little of every brand isn't for everybody, and everybody isn't for every brand. The most unprofitable item ever manufactured is an excuse. Success is a culmination of failures, mistakes, faults, stars, confusion, and determination to keep going anyway. Most people think selling is the same as talking, but the most effective salespeople know that. Listening is the most important part of their job. You don't close a sale, you open a relationship if you want to build a long-term successful enterprise. If you are not taking care of your customers, your competitors will. There are no shortcuts to any place worth going. Life battles don't always go to the strongest or fastest. Sooner or later, those who win are those who think they can. If we learn from losing, we become winners in the end. If we all did the things we are capable of doing, we would literally astound ourselves. Obstacles isn't stop your problems, can't stop you. Most of all other people can't stop you, only you can stop you. Leadership is doing what is right when no one is watching. Great works are performed not by strength but by perseverance. Success is the ability to go from failure to failure without losing your enthusiasm. Some men see things as they are and ask why. I dream of the things that never were and ask why not. Failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough. Opportunities are usually disguised as hard work, so most people don't recognize them. The majority of men meet with failure because of the lack of persistence in creating new plans to take the place of those that fail. You can do anything if you have enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the yeast that makes your hopes rise to the stars. With it, there is accomplishment. Without it, there is only alibis. Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do. Take risks. If you win, you are happy. If you lose, you will be wise. Don't be distracted by criticism. Remember, the only test of success some people have is when they take a bite out of you. The best sales question have your expertise wrapped into them. Make a customer, not a sell. Tough times never last, but some tough people do. Most of the important things in the world have been accomplished by people who have kept on trying when there seemed to be no hope at all. Lack of direction, not lack of time, is the problem. We all have 24 hours days. Integrity is what we do with what we say, and what we say we do. Don't wish if it were easier, wish you were better. He that is good for making excuses is seldom good at anything else. Fear is the destroyer of dreams and the killer of ambition. The question you ask more important than the things you could ever say. Excellence is not a skill, it's an attitude. Today is always the most productive days of your week. Goals allow you to control the direction or change in your favor. For every sale you miss because you are too enthusiastic, you will miss 100 because you are not enthusiastic enough. There is not to become a person of success, but try to become a person of value, self-belief, and answer that creates holes in happiness. Your competition is everything else you prospect could conceivably spend their time on. If people like you, they will listen to you. If they trust you, they will do business with you. Prospering, find the man with the problem. If the opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. The way you position yourself is the beginning of the relationship what has profound impact on where you end up. It's easier to explain price at once than to apologize for quality forever. A good listener is not only popular everywhere, but after a while he knows something. Goals aren't enough. You need goals plus deadlines. Goals big enough to get excited about and deadline to make it you run. One isn't much good without the other, but together they can be tremendous. You have the best material, the newest innovation, and the most creative product, but those resources are meaningless without the core of your business, your employees. Poorly motivated and uninspired people can bring down even the most amazing organization. If empowering your employees isn't the top priority, it should be. Here's some inspiration for top business leaders. My job as a leader is to make sure that everybody in the company has great opportunities and they feel that they are having meaningful impact to the good of society. It's not the tools you have faith in. Tools are just tools. They work or they don't work. If the people you have faith in or not in technology, it's about the people, getting the best people, retaining them, nurturing a creative environment, and helping to find a way to innovate. You know, as most entrepreneurs do, that a company is only as good as its people. Its hard part is actually building the team that will embody your company culture and propel you forward. To be the best people you buy, you must be the best place to work. Treat your employees the way you want the customers to be treated, maybe even better. The organization is about all the socialist people. Businesses often forget about the culture and intimacy they often suffer for it because they cannot deliver some good services from unhappy employees. Start with my customers will never love a company until the employees love it first. People want guidance, not rhetoric. They need to know what the plan of action is and how it will be implemented. They want to be given responsibility to help solve the problem and authority to act on it. No company, small or large, can win for the long run without energized employees who believe in the mission and understand how to achieve. Our belief is that if you get the culture right, most of the other stuff, the great customer service, building a great long-term brand, or empowering passionate employees and customers will happen on its own. First, get the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and the right people in the right seats, and they will then can figure out where to drive it. Hire for attitude and train for skills. If each of us hire people who are smaller than we are, we shall become a company of tops. But if each of us hires people who are bigger than we are, we shall become a company of giants. Human beings are not things needed to be motivated and controlled. They are four-dimensional: body, mind, heart, and spirit. We believe that when the right tells me the right opportunity in the company of the right philosophy, amazing transformation can happen. You cannot have faith in people unless you take the action to improve and develop them. The inventory, the value of your company, walks out the door every evening. The task of leadership is not to put passion into people, but to inspire and elicit it, for the passion is already there. You don't build a business, you build people, then people build the business. The best executive in the one who has sense enough to pick with men to do what he wants done, and self-restraint enough to keep from meddling with them while they do it. Virtually every company will be going out and empowering their workers with a certain set of the tools, and the big difference is how much value is received from what will be, how much the company steps back and really thinks through their business processing, thinking through how their business can change, how the project management, their customer feedback, their planning cycles can be quite different from they ever were before. Power can be taken but not given. The process of taking them, it's empowerment in itself. Never tell people how to do the things, tell them what to do, and they will surprise you with their ingenuity. An empowered organization is one in which individuals have the knowledge, skill, desire, and opportunity to personally succeed in a way that leads to collective organizational success inspired by one of those quotes. Talk about it with your peers, brainstorm what it means in terms of organization, and get going. Aha! The secret to self-control. All bad poetry springs from genuine feeling. I never traveled without my diary. One should always have something sensational to read in the train. If one cannot enjoy reading a book over and over again, there is no use in reading it at all. There is no such thing as a moral and immoral book. Books are well written or badly written. The good ended happily and the bad ended happily. That is what fiction means. An idea that is not dangerous is unworthy of being called an idea at all. The books that the world calls immoral are the books that show the world its own shame. I put all the genius into my life. I put only my talent into my works. A poet can survive everything, but I misprint. Actions are the first tragedy in life. Words are the second. Words are perhaps the worst. Words are merciless. In old days, the books were written by men of letters and read by public. Nowadays, books are written by the public and read by nobody. I was working on the proof of one of my poems all the morning and took out a comma. In the afternoon, I put it back again. With freedom, books, flower, and the moon, who could not be happy? Imagination imitates, it is critical spirit that creates. A writer is someone who has taught his mind to misbelieve. No matter how senior you get in an organization, no matter how well you are perceived to be doing your job, is never done. Extreme narcissism wreaks havoc on your life, and what to do about it. From the minute I learned of something called narcissistic personality disorder during my master program in marriage and family therapy, a whole lot of what had happened to me throughout my life at the hands of the toxic friends, bosses, and colleagues made a great deal more worse. As a therapist too, I saw firsthand the crushing effects of narcissism and what it does to those in its wake. If you have ever been exposed to narcissism at work, you know what the effects can be truly devastating. Even more surprising to me was the fact that I had been attracting narcissists into my life repeatedly throughout my 18 years career. I finally learned what I needed to do about it, and so I could never happen again. And here is more of how not to get fired by one. Last year, when I wrote LinkedIn post, the 6 toxic behaviors that hold you back, and it went viral at the time. It was the most read piece over the LinkedIn, 2.8 million views, and comments and responses demonstrated that people all over the world are dealing with toxicity and narcissism and simply don't know how to handle it. Words of caution. Before proceeding with details about how to interact with narcissists, take a look at what you want out of the engagement. If you are looking for equal treatment, acknowledgement, recognition, or significance in his or her eyes, you might be well advised to simply move on. Chances are very good that you will invest excessive amounts of energy, time, and perhaps money in striving to get what you want. In reality, the possibility of what you will succeed is minimal. However, if you are in a position where you feel you have little choice but to interact with a narcissist, read on. A narcissist characteristics, the reason for prefacing these comments with a foregoing precaution lies in the nature of the narcissist personality. A narcissist exhibits pervasive grandiosity, sometimes through behavior, sometimes in fantasy. A narcissist needs to be admired and shows little or no empathy or concern for the problems, difficulties, or even the interests of other people. Narcissists hold, perhaps embrace would be a better term, an exaggerated sense of self-importance. They overrate the significance of their achievements and talents, and they expect to achieve accolades for what they believe are outstanding personal attributes and accomplishments. They tend to be totally absorbed in fantasies of success, power, and brilliance, beauty, and other achievements and qualities. They believe they are special. As a result, they believe they can only be understood and appreciated by people who are, or organizations that are also special. Consequently, narcissists are unreasonable expectations of the people and situation. They feel they are entitled to favorable treatment and unquestioning compliances with their hopes and expectations, and the people are supposed to acquiesce to their wishes. Further, they exploit friends, acquaintances, and associates, taking advantages of others to secure their own desires. They tend to be haughty and arrogant, convinced that others are or should be envious of them. While every narcissist does not display each and every of these characteristics, every narcissist exhibits enough of them to be difficult to deal with. Despite the difficulties, from time to time, we all find ourselves having to interact with a person who's afflicted with narcissism. It may be a member in the family, a neighbor, sometimes one who we work, or someone we dearly love. In cases we must deal with them, it is a good idea to understand how best to do so, how to talk to a narcissist. Hopefully, our discussion about the nature of narcissism sets a stage for that follows. Here are some rules that will make things easier for you to interact with narcissists. The aim at this point is not to provide comfortable guidelines. Interacting with a narcissist, here are some rules. May not be comfortable, but it doesn't always have to be total loss. Demand little, expect little. You will find your role is one of support, acknowledgement, and may not and recognition. The narcissist may see you as a kind of a gopher or a decap. If that is acceptable to you, you should have little difficulty. How to go about getting your wants and desires considered and discussed later in this commentary. Be willing to listen a lot and listen carefully. Find ways to provide position recognition frequently. It is important to check the narcissist's reaction to be sure you have understood that what positive recognition he or she wants at the moment. If you are the wrong track, that fact will probably be made abundantly clear to you fairly quickly. If it is at all possible to do so, be honest and sincere in your acknowledgement, praise, and recognition. Identify and note any and all of the narcissist's behaviors or achievements can genuinely admire. Use them to provide recognition and acknowledgement. And sincere flattery may be tolerated by the narcissist, but keep in mind that deep down the narcissist usually lacks well-grounded self-esteem. Therefore, the more credible you can be, praise you can be, the better. Don't worry about making the narcissist become more self-centered. He or she became that way at a fairly early age and can't now stop. The narcissists need help, of course, though they are usually very reluctant to seek it. If you think the narcissist in your life may want to alter his or her narcissistic outlook, consider making an intervention. Use Adroitly, an intervention can be a profound psychological experience for all concerned. It is a carefully planned event that can begin a process of healthy redirection and personal growth. To learn more about how to effect an intervention, take a look at the two-side talk question and answer articles on that subject. One is about how to arrange a multi-person intervention, the other discussion solo intervention. Also, those articles pertinent to the problems of substance abuse. The process of intervention is basically the same. Avoid challenging the narcissist's wishes or desires. Narcissists have a low tolerance for frustration or interference. Failing these, smiles a lot and keep quiet. While this may not put you in especially good standing with the narcissist, it avoids the risk of attack and leaves you still in the picture after others falter or fail or flee. These guidelines call for several qualities, among them passions, forbearance, and focus. Patience will enable you to hang in when others may drop off. Forbearance will enable you to overlook the narcissist's bushiness, selfishness, self-centeredness, and arrogance. Focus will enable you to keep in mind both what the narcissist wants from moment to moment and what your objectives are in associating with him or her. How to get what you want from a narcissist? This is a question of motivation. If there is something you want a narcissist to agree or to provide, following principles will prove helpful. Be precise in what you want. That's a good idea in all situations, but it is often essential in dealing with narcissists. Know what the narcissist wants. This is also a good idea in all situations, but again, it can be essential in dealing with narcissists. Persuade the narcissist that he or she will deserve something significant from doing what you want. Example, it is important to determine whether the other person, narcissist, is primarily invested in beauty, intelligence, strength, meaning power or influence, or independence. As a rule, out of these will be far more significant than the others. Behind your request, by finding a way to validate the narcissist, admire his or her appearance, use the brain power display of the strength or control or the adherence to principle. Make sure the narcissist has read and accepted the compliment before proceeding. Link what you want the narcissist's preferred attribute. If say you want to go to a specific movie, you could offer persuasive observations such as the following: I understand all the beautiful people are rushing to see it. Implication: going to this movie will make one of the special people of the day. The reviewer called it movie for quick minds. Implication: going to this movie will make you one smart cookie. It is supposed to expose the dynamics of social power. Implications: going to the movie is an opportunity to learn how to become more influential. Their story exposes the weakness of dependent people. Implication: going to this movie will reconfirm for you that being a force to yourself is the best way to be. You may be somewhat uncomfortable at first using this approach. You may be probably always try to be either more straightforward than this and hope the other person will read your thoughts and decide to provide what you want. If so, remember, this technique is easier to use as you become familiar with it. You find the approach seems too calculating and manipulative. Keep two things in mind. First, the narcissist is manipulative, often to the point of being downright coercive. Second, you may have been taught to be passive rather than assertive. If so, you are well advised to explore becoming more assertive. Assertiveness. If you would like to explore this consideration also, there are any number. Wow, beautiful. January 2nd. Stop making excuses. Create your own reality. The following steps will keep you on the right track of building your dream business. The first and the most important step of all would be to start with a clear mind and heart. You might need to forget about all the expectations that you have in mind. Make sure that you remove all those distractions that will make you away from the core of your business plan before you jump.